Looking at page 2 of your assignment, we want to know who factored correctly, if anybody, between Elizabeth and Lorenzo. So let's start by looking in detail of how Elizabeth factored this. So we see 16x to the fourth minus 25y squared. So I think that's a difference of squares. Uh-oh. See the problem with Elizabeth? The square root of 16 is 4, but the square root of x to the fourth is not x. So Elizabeth definitely is incorrect. Let's see if Lorenzo did it right. Now, if we take a look at Lorenzo, the square root of 16x to the fourth is 4x squared. The square root of 25y squared is 5y. Lorenzo wrote 4x squared minus 5y and 4x squared plus 5y. Now, 4x squared is a perfect square, but 5y isn't. So Lorenzo is indeed correct. On question 26, we want to factor this trinomial completely. And let's move this so we can show our work. Now, the first thing I notice is there's an x to the n in each term, isn't there? Because I've got my third term, which is x to the n. Then there's an n in n plus 2. There's an n in n plus 6. So we're going to factor out x to the n. Except we need a pen to do that. So I'm going to factor out x to the n. If I take away one n from n plus 6, well, that'll be x to the n plus 5. If I take out one n from n plus 2, I'll get n plus 1. And then I'll just get 1 here, won't I? Because x to the n times 1 is x to the n. Now, this doesn't factor any further because n plus 5 is not an even power that I could break apart. And then I got this 1 was a perfect square, so only factors I could have 1 or 1 and 1. And I can't break that down to get n plus 1, so we're done. Now, on question 27, this is more of a thought experiment of what we're going to do. Because first I want to factor it, and then I want to simplify it. So we factor it. The first thing I notice is 9 is a perfect square, isn't it? And k plus 3 is a perfect square. I can actually think of this then as 3 squared minus k plus 3 squared. So my difference of squares is going to be 3 plus k plus 3 times 3 minus k plus 3, because it's the difference of squares. And that's the factored version. Now let's simplify this. So the parentheses don't mean much in the first one. I'm going to write it without the parentheses. So 3 plus k plus 3. Into my second parentheses, I'm going to distribute my negative 1. So I'll get 3 minus k minus 3. So when I simplify my first parentheses, I get k plus 6. When I simplify my second parentheses, my 3's cancel, I get negative k. Now, if I distribute that negative k inside, I'll get negative k squared minus 6k. And that's simplified as far as we can take it. We factored, then we simplified. So kind of a unique way of doing it. So they kind of led you, the directions kind of led you in the correct order to get this answer.